Arsenal fans, wake up, because this is big. We've now got confirmation that Christos Tzolis has told Arsenal he wants the move. Club Brugge are willing to sell, and club-to-club talks are set to accelerate right now. But that's not even the half of it. Because while Tzolis edges closer, Morgan Rogers is still very much alive as Arteta's dream target, and there's been a genuine shock twist in the Bruno Guimaraes saga that could completely change how Arsenal's midfield rebuild plays out. 3 players, 3 very different situations, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where Arsenal stand on all of them. Let's get into it. Let's be honest, it's been a strange summer at the Emirates. We're the reigning Premier League champions, and yet since lifting the trophy in May, Arsenal have made precisely one senior outfield signing that anyone's talking about, the permanent Piero Hincapié deal, plus Ilan Meslier walking in on a free to back up the goalkeeping department. That's it, for a title-winning squad. And fans have been getting restless because everyone knows this group needs freshening up if we're going to compete on 4 fronts next season. The League, the Champions League, the FA Cup, and now defending that title with a target on our backs. So the pressure has been building for Arteta and Edu to get deals done. And finally, it looks like the dam is about to break. The Trossard exit. Why this matters first. The context. Leandro Trossard is gone. Confirmed. Off to Besiktas in a deal reportedly worth around £17.1 million, and we've already seen the pictures of him in his new kit. Now say what you want about Trossard's end at the club. The man was a title winner, a squad player who never complained, and someone who scored some genuinely massive goals for us. But football moves on fast, and his exit leaves a gap on the left side of Arteta's attack that needs filling before the new season kicks off. Which brings us to the man Arsenal have identified as his long-term replacement. Christos Tzolis, 24 years old, Greek international, and right now, arguably the hottest attacking storyline in the entire Arsenal fanbase. Here's where things stand. According to well-connected journalist Ben Jacobs, Tzolis has directly informed Arsenal that he wants this move. Not he's open to it, not he's considering his options. He's told the club he wants to join, and Club Brugge, for their part, are willing to sell this summer, even though he's got 4 years left on his contract. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where it gets interesting. Jacobs reports Arsenal will need to pay somewhere between £30 million and £35 million, depending on how the deal is structured. Add-ons, sell-on clauses, payment terms, all the usual mechanisms clubs use to bridge a gap. Other reports floating around this week have talked about figures closer to £41 million, so there's clearly still some negotiation to be done on the exact package, but the direction of travel is the same. Arsenal are moving, and moving quickly. And when you look at what Tzolis has actually done on the pitch, it's not hard to see why. This is a player who, since rebuilding his career after a tough spell in England with Norwich City, has gone on to produce over 40 goals and more than 40 assists in just over 100 appearances for Club Brugge. Last season alone, he was directly involved in over 50 goals across all competitions. That is elite output for a wide forward in a top European league. Now, some of you watching will remember Tzolis from his Norwich days and be thinking, hold on, didn't he struggle in the Premier League before? And yeah, that's fair, but this is a completely different player now. He's 4 years older, he's rebuilt his confidence in Germany and then exploded in Belgium, and he's coming into this move as a wanted man rather than a young loanee thrown into a relegation battle. Big difference. Reports also suggest talks between Arsenal and Brugge are set to accelerate imminently, with some outlets even suggesting a deal could be wrapped up before Arsenal report back for pre-season training. If that timeline holds, we could be looking at Arsenal's first genuine marquee attacking edition of the summer within days, not weeks. There is competition, mind you. Newcastle have been credited with interest, and even Borussia Dortmund and Liverpool have been mentioned in passing. But every single report this week points the same direction. Tzolis wants Arsenal, and Arsenal are the club driving this deal forward. If this goes through, Arsenal are getting a direct like-for-like, and arguably an upgrade, on Trossard. A wide forward who can play off the left, cut inside, score goals, and create for others. Exactly what Arteta needs. Morgan Rogers, the bigger target still looms. Now here's the important bit fans need to understand. Tzolis is not a replacement for the Morgan Rogers pursuit. These are 2 completely separate deals, and multiple sources have been clear about that this week. Morgan Rogers remains the more ambitious, headline target. Villa's brilliant young England international has been electric, and reports suggest Aston Villa are holding out for a fee in the region of £130 million if they're forced to sell. That is Premier League record territory for an outfield player from a selling club, and it tells you everything about how highly Villa rate him. Arsenal's read on this appears to be pragmatic. Go and get Tzolis now as an affordable, proven, wide option, while continuing to push in the background for Rodgers as the statement marquee addition. Two different price points, two different profiles, both aimed at strengthening that final third. Rodgers has been tipped to be open to a fresh challenge if the right club comes calling, and it doesn't get much more right club than the reigning Premier League champions. But Villa's valuation is a serious obstacle, and unless Arsenal are willing to break their transfer record or get creative with structure, add-ons and future sell-on percentages, this one could easily drag deep into the summer, or even collapse entirely if Villa refuse to negotiate. Keep this one on your radar. It's not dead, it's just moving slower than Tzolis. Now for the story that's genuinely shaken things up this week, Bruno Guimaraes. Arsenal have been strongly linked with the Newcastle captain as a central midfield reinforcement, and by all accounts, the player himself is desperate for the move. He's reportedly informed Newcastle directly that he wants to leave St James's Park for the champions. Reports even claim personal terms. Discussions have progressed well, with talk of a long contract on the table if a fee can be agreed. But here's the twist. Arsenal apparently went into this expecting Guimaraes to be available at a reasonable, almost discount price, somewhere in the region of £50 million, based on earlier intermediary conversations. Instead, Newcastle have made it clear they consider him close to untouchable, with reports suggesting they'd want something close to £100 million to even entertain letting their captain leave. Think about that for a second. Almost double what Arsenal were originally led to believe. Newcastle have already banked well over £160 million this summer from other sales, so they are absolutely under no financial pressure to let their best midfielder go on the cheap. If anything, that extra transfer income gives them more leverage to simply say no. So where does that leave Arsenal? Genuinely torn. Guimaraes would be a fantastic addition. Proven Premier League quality, leadership, energy, exactly the kind of rotation option Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi desperately need after playing so many minutes last season without a break. But paying £100 million for a 28-year-old central midfielder is a massive financial commitment, and it's fair to say Arsenal are currently weighing up whether that price is justifiable. This is one to watch extremely closely over the next couple of weeks. Don't be shocked if Arsenal either pivot to a cheaper alternative in midfield or dig in and try to force Newcastle's hand as pre-season progresses. What this all means for Arsenal's summer, so let's zoom out and put this all together. Because when you look at these three stories side by side, a clear picture starts to form of how Arteta and Edu are approaching this window. Tzolis represents the get-it-done-now deal, affordable, proven, and with the player already pushing for the move himself. Expect this one to move fastest. Rodgers represents the dream ticket, the marquee attacking name that would genuinely elevate this squad into a different tier, but one that depends entirely on Villa's willingness to negotiate on their eye-watering valuation. And Guimaraes represents the reality check, a deal that looked straightforward a few weeks ago and has suddenly become a lot more complicated. Now Newcastle have shown their hand. If Arsenal can land even two out of these three before the transfer deadline, this squad goes into the new season looking significantly stronger and better equipped to defend that Premier League title while pushing deep into the Champions League again.